Remember when a dozen eggs was, a normal price? Like a thing you could just buy without having to take out a small loan? Yeah, those days are gone. We're living in the midst of a full-blown egg emergency, folks. Prices are more yoked than a plate of Gordon Ramsay's scrambled eggs after he's just been told the soufflé collapsed. Empty shelves, panicked shoppers and headlines screaming about record-breaking prices. It's enough to make you want to hide under your weighted blanket and cry into a plate of, well, definitely not eggs, because those are a luxury good now. So what the cluck is going on? Is this just another case of supply chain issues that we hear about every time something gets slightly more expensive, or is there something more sinister at play? Let's crack this thing wide open. We're not talking about some minor fluctuation here, people. This isn't your grandma complaining about the price of penny candy back in her day. We're talking about price increases that would make even the Wolf of Wall Street blush. In some places, a dozen eggs has tripled in price in just a few months. That's like finding out your landlord is tripling your rent because, and I quote, the vibes are off. It's absurd. This is a staple food, for crying out loud, not a Fabergé egg encrusted with diamonds. People rely on eggs. They're protein-packed, versatile, and, dare I say, delicious. But at these prices, they're quickly becoming a luxury item, something only the wealthy can afford to scramble into their morning avocado toast. And that's just not right. Now, I'm not one to point fingers, but bird flu, you're not helping. This isn't just some minor inconvenience for our feathered friends. We're talking about widespread outbreaks of highly contagious avian influenza, decimating poultry populations across the globe. Millions of chickens, ducks and other birds have been culled in an attempt to contain the virus, which, and I cannot stress this enough, is absolutely essential to prevent further spread, but it's also creating a massive supply shortage. Fewer birds mean fewer eggs, and fewer eggs mean higher prices. It's basic economics, people, but that doesn't make it any less painful when you're staring at a $10 carton of eggs in the grocery store. As if the bird flu wasn't enough, we've also got our old pal inflation rearing its ugly head. Remember when a dollar used to be worth something? Pepperidge Farm remembers. But these days it feels like the value of our money is shrinking faster than a polar bear's ice cap. And unfortunately, the cost of producing eggs isn't immune to this economic downturn. Farmers are getting slammed with rising costs for everything from chicken feed to fuel to labor. And those costs? You better believe they're getting passed down to us, the humble consumers, in the form of higher prices at the checkout line. You know what doesn't help when there's a potential shortage? People losing their damn minds and buying up everything in sight. Look, I get it. We are hardwired to fear scarcity. When we hear whispers of a potential crisis, our instinct is to stock up, to hoard, to build a fortress of essential goods in our basements and ride out the storm. But here's the thing. Panic buying only makes the situation worse. It creates artificial demand, which drives prices up even higher. And then the people who actually need those eggs, the ones who can't afford to stockpile a year's worth of omelettes, are left with empty shelves and empty stomachs. So please, I beg of you, resist the urge to build an egg fort in your spare bedroom. Take a deep breath, buy what you need, and leave some for the rest of us. Now, you might think that in times of crisis, governments would step in and try to stabilize the situation, and you'd be right. See, some governments have tried to control their local egg prices by limiting exports. Sounds good in theory, right? Keep those precious eggs for your own citizens, except it's not that simple. The global egg market is complex and interconnected. When one country restricts exports, it creates a ripple effect, disrupting supply chains and driving up prices in other parts of the world. It's like playing a game of egg-economic whack-a-mole. You solve one problem and another one pops up somewhere else. Now, I'm not one to subscribe to conspiracy theories, but what if this whole egg crisis is just a way for big corporations to line their pockets? Think about it. What better time to jack up prices than when people are already feeling the pinch? They know we need eggs, they know we're desperate, and they're taking advantage of the situation to squeeze every last penny out of us. Now, I'm not saying that every food corporation is evil, but when you see record profits being reported at the same time that families are struggling to put food on the table, it's hard not to be a little suspicious. Are they really doing everything they can to keep prices down? Or are they using this crisis as an opportunity to boost their bottom line? I'll let you be the judge. So, what does the future hold for our beloved eggs? Will we ever see those pre-crisis prices again? The truth is, it's hard to say. If the bird flu continues to spread and inflation keeps soaring, we could be in for a bumpy ride, but there is hope. Scientists are working on new vaccines and treatments for avian influenza, and farmers are exploring innovative ways to increase biosecurity measures on their farms. Plus, more and more people are turning to alternative sources of protein, like plant-based egg substitutes. Have you tried those things? They're actually pretty good. Sure, they might not be a perfect replacement for the real deal, but they're a viable option for those looking to reduce their reliance on traditional eggs. So while the current egg crisis is undoubtedly a challenge, it's not the end of the world. With a little ingenuity and a lot of collective action, we can overcome this obstacle and ensure that everyone has access to affordable, nutritious food. And hey, maybe this whole experience will make us appreciate those humble eggs even more. So, there you have it. The egg crisis in all its yolky glory. It's a complicated issue with no easy answers, but one thing's for sure, we can't just sit back and wait for the prices to magically come down. We need to demand transparency from our leaders and hold corporations accountable for their actions. And maybe, just maybe, we need to rethink our relationship with food and start supporting more sustainable and equitable systems. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, should have to choose between putting food on the table and paying their rent, especially not over a bloody egg.